Today we'll be reviewing your notes for the decimals quiz. I'll be going over each of the types of questions that you will have. I'd recommend making your own practice quiz to help you study. The first question asks you to write the decimal as a fraction or a mixed number. They might give you a decimal, such as 0.6. Now, when you're turning a decimal into a fraction, the easiest thing to do is remember to look at how many places are after the decimal. There's one place after it, so we're going to include 1 0 in our denominator. So it's the tenths place, which means it's out of 10. Then we just look at the number in the decimal 6, and that becomes our numerator. Both of these can be said as 6/10. If they give you a number that is greater than 1, you are going to be writing this as a mixed number. Now, everything that comes before the decimal will be written as a whole number. So this is a whole 3, and then we'll take the numbers after the decimal to put them as a fraction. Now there's 2 numbers here. It goes to the hundredths place, so my denominator is 100. You'll notice there's the same number of zeros as there are numbers after the decimal. Then I take the number after the decimal and I put it on top. So this would be the same as 3 and 74 out of 100. Now, when we look at this last example, there are 3 numbers that come after the decimal. So in my fraction, I'm going to have 3 zeros on the bottom. So it's going to be out of 1,000, which is also the name of the last place in the decimal. Now, our numerator is going to be 49. Even though there are 3 numbers after the decimal, you are only going to write 2 numbers at the top because it's 49 thousandths, okay? Question 2 is going to ask you to write a decimal for the fraction or the mixed number. It's basically the reverse of question 1. Our first fraction here is a mixed number. The whole number is what goes before the decimal. So we would start with 5 and then we turn the second part into a decimal. So if there are 3 zeros on the bottom, we're going to the thousandths place, 1 for each 0. And then we're going to fill in the number on top, the numerator from the back, 703. When we don't have any whole number or number before the decimal, we'll start with a 0. Then we're going to the hundredths place because our decimal is out of 100, so we can put 2 spots and we fill it in from the end, 8, 6. In our last example, you'll see why we always fill it in from the end. So we have 46 thousandths. There's 3 zeros and no whole number, so we're going to put 3 places after the decimal. Then we're going to fill the 46 in from the end, 6, 4, and there's still a space here. In order for this to end in the thousandths place where it needs to, we need to put a 0 in as a placeholder. If you just put 0.46, that is not the same and would be incorrect because this would equal 46 out of 100, not out of 1,000. Question 3 asks you to arrange the numbers in increasing order. Remember that increasing means we're going from small to big. Our first job is to look for the smallest number in this list. They all have a 3 in the ones place, so that won't help us to sort out which is the smallest. That means we have to look at the tenths place. Now, our 2 smallest tenth values are 4, so it's going to either be one of these 2 fractions. Now we have to look at the next number. We have 6 versus 5, and 5 is smaller. So this will be our smallest fraction. Then we'll fill in our other fraction that has a 4 in the tenths place. Now that we have these 2 numbers taken care of, we're going to look at the hundreds, or we're going to look at the tenths place. So 5 is bigger than 6, so this will be our next number, 3 and 54 hundredths, and then our final one is 3 and 645 thousandths. Question number 4 asks you to add the decimals and then round your answer to the nearest tenth. So there are 2 parts to this question. First, you need to add and then you need to round to the tens place. When we're adding, it's easiest to start by lining up the decimal places. It's more important to make sure that the decimals are lined up than that the last digits are, but in this question they both go to the thousands place, so it's not a problem. Then we start adding on the right-hand side. So 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, we carry the 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7, bring down the decimal, and add a 0. Now we have to remember we're not finished yet, that's only step 1. The second step is to round your answer to the nearest tenth. So 7 is in the tens place, the 1 tells us to round down, so our rounded answer is 0.7. For the next question, we have whole numbers, but our rules still stay the same. So 3.34, we line up the decimals. So 5.79. 4 plus 9 is 13, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 7 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9. And we need to make sure we have our decimal. Then we round to the tens place again. The 3 tells us we're rounding down, so it will stay as 9.1. The last question, number 5, has very similar instructions, but we are subtracting. So the first step is to subtract the decimals, and our second step is to round your answer to the nearest tenth. Remember that our first step is to line up the decimals. So our place values are lined up, and then we start subtracting. Now I can't take 6 away from 2, so I need to borrow from the 8. So that becomes 7 and 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the decimal. 0 minus 0 is 0. We're not done. We need to round to the nearest tenth. So 2 is in the tens place. The 6 tells us to round up. So our answer is 0.3. You might also get a question that has a whole number, but our same rules still apply. So 6.76 minus 0.62. 6 minus 2 is 4. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down the decimal. 6 minus 0 is 6. Round to the tens place. The 4 tells us to round down, so our answer is 6.1. Those are all the questions on your quiz. Feel free to make your own practice test to help you study, and good luck on the quiz tomorrow.